anyone who was interested in comedy. So I just thought, but I actually seen a podcast with him recently on, it was, what's it called again, the bloody podcast? An interview with the CEO, the day in the life of the CEO, something like that, right? So anyway, he was on there. And I tell you what, fair play to the man. He's had his struggles over the years trying to get where he needs to be. And he's done it, and he's done it very successfully, And I'm actually quite grateful the fact that he's built that show to give me that exposure for me to go on there. Because I remember when I first done my first audition, I'd done my stuff. And Amanda said brilliant, David Walliams said brilliant, Alicia said brilliant. Simon went, well, it was all right. And everyone went, boo. And he said, why did you do Billy Connolly? And I said, well, because we're in Scotland, Simon. And Amanda went, yeah, we're in Scotland, Simon. I went, yeah, there you go, Simon. Next question. Now, we didn't like that because obviously it's his show. Just some like working class lad from Hartlepool just turned up and basically had control of the audience, And he went, I didn't think your Beckham was any good either. And I went, oh, really? I said, well, okay. I said, if you didn't think it was any good, I said, I'm sure you can do better. Off you go. And everybody started going, do it, right? Anyway, he just said, I thought, he said, listen, he said, the reason people like you is because you're funny. And I could say there were scripted bits in there that he knew he was going to say anyway. But it was quite funny because at the beginning of my audition, he said to me, well, what would mean more, the Royal Variety or the money? And I said, well, the money, because I want to buy a house. And then he went, well, to be honest, Dan, he said, I actually was on the last Royal Variety. And then David Walliams took the piss out of him and says, actually, Simon, he said, there's a difference between going on and saying 7 words and introducing on Calabro than actually hosting the Royal Variety like I did, because he hosted it, So then when I done Michael McIntyre, on my Michael McIntyre bit, I went, yes, ladies and gentlemen, Michael McIntyre, who also hosted the Royal Variety performance. Yes, me and David hosted. Simon said 7 words and introduced on Calabro. Oh, and it brought the house down, and he didn't like that, because obviously it's his show and it's his baby, and I get it, But it was quite. But do you know what was quite interesting? After I'd done my first audition, I was getting stopped off everyone on the street. It was quite incredible. And before I'd done the semi-final, I was really nervous, and I said to the guy in the studio, I said, mate, I couldn't nip out and have a couple of beers because there was Fountain Studios. Well, that's where it used to be at Fountain Studios. There's a row of bars. If you come out the back of the studios, you go across to Wembley, and there's a row of bars. He said, well, look, Dan, he said, I'll just say you've gone to the toilet. He said, don't be too long. I said, I won't. So I went into this bar, and it was packed. And I walked in, and everyone was talking, and they just went silent. Like on a sort of like a Wild West film. And you walk in, and everyone's just gone quiet, and they looked at me, and I thought, oh, shit, this must be the audience that are coming into the studio to watch the semi-final tonight. And anyway, I've walked in and I've gone to the bar and I've said, I said, can I just have a bottle of Desperado, please? Anyway, this woman comes over to me. I said, oh, hello, you all right? And she just looked at me and went, this is a private party. Could you please leave? It's me thinking I've been recognised off the telly. And they were like, yeah, it's a private party. Could you please leave? So, yeah, it sort of brought me back down to earth at that moment, And then obviously after the semi-final, and then the final, I mean, it was just stressful, mate, because I had producers telling me what I should and shouldn't say and all that kind of thing. Don't do this impression. They're not famous enough. They were telling me not to do Johnny Vegas, and I'm going, well, Johnny Vegas was in Benidorm at the time, which was one of the biggest shows on ITV. Britain's Got Talent on ITV, I'm thinking, at the end of the day, I just said, look, this is what I'm doing. And, once I'm out there, there's nothing you can do about it. But I do know that Act 2 being on there, they've sort of been dictated to by producers, and they've just said, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. Whereas I put up a fight with them, and I said, no, this is what I'm doing. Sorry, I'm going to be the one that looks like a dick, not you. Do you know what I mean? So that's the thing. We're doing big team. Yeah.
That's definitely, yeah, exactly. And you don't know how they'll edit as well, because I've heard from the other side that they've made some comics look really bad. I know that, but that's what I've heard. And
Well, there's a guy called Andy Davis who does singing impressions. He does the Bee Gees. He does like Barry White. I mean, he's brilliant. And they made him look ridiculous when he was on there. And he's superb. I've seen him work live. I've done a showcase with him before, and he was brilliant. It just goes to show the power of editing is frightening.
Yeah, they did that with X Factor. I think one of the girls, some Welsh lady, Zoe Alexandra, they made her look like a mad nutter, but they edited different videos to try and make it look like
Was that the
she.
girl who come on and done Pink?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. And the producer told her to do Pink, and he's like, "Well, hang on."
Yes,
She's like, "Hang on, the producers told me to do this, you know." Oh yeah, they had her hook, line, and sinker, didn't they, bless her?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm not surprised. And I didn't know this with the auditions that they have a separate audition before you go on stage. And I think it's basically the producer like who's going to be good TV for being shit and who's going to be good TV for being
Well,
good.
do you know where I didn't have that? I had they saw me at the you know the Hen and Chickens Comedy Club in Islington.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
I'd
yeah.
done a gig then, and they saw me there. And Jeff Whiting was the guy who basically was emceeing, and he had the, it's really funny because you know who Jeff Whiting is, and I'm doing the impersonation of him. And people who are listening to this probably don't know who he is, but if they do know who he is, they obviously know that he does not talking. Do you know what I mean? It's funny when you meet Jeff because you're just like, how many words can you possibly fit into a sentence? Do you know what I mean? But you know what? Jeff gets a bit of stick off people on the
Oh
circuit,
yes.
and I know he does, but. He's always put gigs on. He's always given people work and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And he's a trooper, Jeff. Do you know what I mean? He does, and he gets me corporate still now. Well, anyway, he basically got me in front of the producers on Britain's Got Talent, and I remember they rang me and they said, "Oh, can you what's your favourite place? Like, what's your preferred place?" I said, "Oh, Manchester," and they said, "Well, what about Edinburgh?" I said, "It's too far because I'm in London the night before." "Don't worry, we'll get you a flight and we'll pay for your hotel." And I'm going, hang on. Yeah. So I sort of half knew I was going to be going through, you
Oh,
know.
okay. That's bloody nice of them.
Well, I'm just hoping Simon Cowell's lawyers don't get involved because I'm not sure whether I should. But then again, there was nothing in the contract to say that I wasn't allowed to say anything about that,
Yeah.
you know.
I think unless it is disparaging of them and it's really brutal, then I don't think they're too bothered, are they?
No.